Hey guys, welcome back to the Fool Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. Just wanted to give you some thoughts after Michigan's 75-67 loss at Rutgers. The Wolverines fall to 1-2 in Big Ten play, and I tell you what, if you want to have an offensive explosion from a couple players, Michigan's the team for you. Versus, I'm looking it up here. Versus Minnesota, Battle and Willis combined for 44 points. Versus UCF, Central Florida, Mahan and Green combined for 53 points. Tonight, Baker and Harper combined for 47 points. So, you know what? Michigan comes into town. You're playing Michigan at Ann Arbor, wherever. You expect two guards to just be lights out, draining everything they can. Just be unconscious on threes. And props to Rutgers, man. They made the shots. I mean, the game started off quick for Rutgers. They hit 3 wide open three-pointers. I think they started 5 of 6 on their first 6 shots, 3 for 3 on threes. Then Michigan's defense actually started to get somewhat better. And then you have Harper hitting three-pointer desperation shots from way down, like NBA range, with the clock shot almost going out. Then they're just draining these and they're covered. It's like just Michigan's it's almost like Michigan's good run in basketball last year has completely been sucked this year. Like everything Michigan had go right for it last year is going wrong this year. Case in point, Michigan now has 4 players out with COVID. You had Williams. Yeah, sorry, I just got to turn it back. You had Williams. You had Brandon Johns Jr. You had Frankie Collins, and then Zeb Jackson didn't play either. It's like he didn't play for unknown reasons. He just didn't travel with the team. He really could have helped this game. I don't know how sick he is, but he apparently wasn't out with his COVID problem. So Michigan was down 5 players. It's like, oh man, every time Michigan finds a new way to lose. This reminds me of almost football in 2020 when they were 2-4 and everything was just horrible. And this team is just interesting. I have to give credit for the players. And really, you basically had your starters were basically the only ones that played. Buffkin came in, I think he went 1 for 5, 2 points. Jace Howard had a steal, got a layup, 2 points. They're the only people that played off the bench. So you had 5 players who basically played the whole game, at least stat-wise. Some people might have played some minutes and didn't get any stats. But you had Diabate was up and down game, man. He had just some terrible possessions, terrible turnovers, terrible box outs, and then he goes off and does some super spin and fouled and hits a free throw, hits a layup, and finishes with 15 points. Caleb Houston rebounded from his 1 point versus Central Florida to finish with 12 points, but he only hit 1 3-pointer. The rest of them, he was slashing and getting to the lane for layups. Hunter Dickinson, 25 points. He didn't get many rebounds. Michigan did terrible on the glass. And then Eli Brooks had 11. I mean, I don't want to... It's just... I just have to point out what on earth happened to Devontae Jones. He came off probably his best game last game versus Central Florida. I think he had 16 points. Today, 0 points. 0. I think it was 0 of 3 on shooting, maybe 0 of 4. He had a block there at the end of the game, so he might be 0 of 4 on shooting. 2 or 3 assists, just complete. What happened? This is your transfer guard who had honestly been playing pretty good the last 2 or 3 games. And now when Michigan really needs it, when Michigan is down 5 players, you have this one guy come in and play 30-plus minutes and give you 0 points as your starting point guard. What was it? Maybe he's sick, and they just, he played it, maybe. But it's just what on earth happened, man? Ugh. I always kind of keep track of turnovers. Michigan only had 8 turnovers this game, so I think last game versus Central Florida, they had single-digit turnovers. Again, single-digit turnovers today, so maybe that's improving some. But every time they got within about 10, they would get under 10. Give credit to Michigan. Rutgers was hitting shots, fadeaway shots, just great offense. Great, they were hitting their shots. Michigan was down by 17 points at one point. Second half, they start chipping away. They get down to 7 points. Rutgers comes back, hits a 3. Back to 10. Michigan gets it down to 9 points, say, whatever. Rutgers comes back, gets it to 11. It's like every time Michigan would get under 10 points, Rutgers would push the lead back. So you got to give Rutgers credit for that. But you have to look at the what you might say elephant in the room. Michigan really shot itself in the foot again today. I mean, every layup, you're not going to hit every layup, but Hummel had the stat that Michigan was 13 of 22 on layups in the game. 13 of 22, so they missed 9 layups in this game. 9 layups. Layups. Even if you hit another half of those, you're right in this game. You're like almost tied. If you hit your layups, you have the lead. It's like, oh man, just layups. And just like so many of them were just open layups where, Houston, for whatever reason, has to shoot with his right hand instead of his left. Eli Brooks had some little bunnies. Miss. Ugh, man. So, I mean, outside of the fact that the refs inexplicably called like 3 or 4 or 5 calls on Michigan that were blown calls. You had Eli Brooks totally took a charge. They called it a block. You had it where the guy totally flopped against Eli Brooks. The announcer called it give that guy an Emmy. Ha 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 ha. But all these little calls add up. But you know what? Refs are terrible in every game. The team that wins shakes it off, doesn't say anything. The team that loses complains, like the Dallas Cowboys complained, or any team that loses, they can say the refs kind of, didn't give them a fair shake. So I'm not going to care about the refs. No. 13 of 22 on layups is the difference in the game. I honestly have to be encouraged by how Michigan played, because they were in this game relatively, right? They were down. They could have just given up. They were down 17 points, and they fought back, made it a single-digit loss. And they didn't give up. They got some steals at the end. Then they had inexplicable dumb turnovers, showing the youth, like Houston trying to pass to Diabate, who was completely covered on a fast break. Ugh, so much growing pains with these young guys. But Michigan didn't give up. Michigan didn't get blown out. So when you're having a season where you're 7-6, where your season's looking like it's going to be a complete trash job, where your season's completely going to fall apart because Michigan's going to play host Michigan State, play Purdue, those both might be at home, then at Illinois, I think it is, you're looking at being 1-4 in the Big Ten. And basically, your Big Ten season's over. But even with that in play, Michigan didn't give up. Even when they only had 5 players who basically did anything in the game, they didn't give up. Really, you can only say 4 because Devontae Jones did nothing in this game. He couldn't defend, and he couldn't do anything offensively. So really, Michigan did this all with 4 players playing as best as they could. A loss is a loss. You take it, what you can get from it and move on. It is what it is. What do you guys think about this loss? I mean, I see some things to be encouraged about, but obviously Michigan was still down 17 points. Michigan still couldn't do anything to stop good old Baker and Harper Jr. So it's like Michigan just can't get those stops when people are hitting shots. They just can't do it, and they just give up almost 50 points to 3 straight duos. It's like, that's not going to work, man. You got to get stops. But it is, I try to find silver linings when possible, but this team's just going to have to figure something out. And now with COVID forcing 4 players out, are they going to be out for a long period of time? Are they going to be out, are they coming back for Saturday's Michigan State game? Oh, Michigan State, man, that can be a big turning point. I'm hypothetical here. If Michigan somehow could play their best game of the year and beat Michigan State at home, what that would do for their season would be, like, monumental, I would say. However, the flip side of it, if Michigan continues to play poorly and they allow Michigan State to have 2 guys just explode for 40 to 50 points, and Michigan gets blown out on national TV, I think it's on Fox, this season's, then you have Purdue, then Illinois, who's going to just want to, because of the whole title thing, and they wanted to claim the Big Ten title and all that. Illinois is probably just going to be so ticked, they're going to be all over Michigan. So that Michigan State game is really going to be a pivotal game, I think, for the season, because when you play your in-state rival, you have to rise up. You have to raise your game, and it'll be interesting to see if Michigan does it or if Michigan just, gets destroyed. So let's see what the players do and how it plays. And obviously, COVID's going to be a factor, too. Are any of those guys going to be available? I don't know. Sorry for the long little ramble there. So let me know if you guys have any thoughts. I'll try to respond as I'm able to. If you can hit that subscribe, appreciate that. And until I see you guys next time, always go blue.